Look at this, and this, and this. Do you see what's happening? Every major brand on earth is doing the same thing. They're erasing their own identity. Google removed the shadows, Apple removed the colours, MasterCard removed the words, Airbnb replaced their entire name with a single abstract symbol. In the last 20 years, design has undergone a radical transformation. Everything is flatter, simpler, cleaner. Your phone, your apps, your furniture, even the buildings you live in, they've all been stripped down to the bare essentials. But why? Why did the entire world decide that less is more? The answer isn't just about aesthetics, it's about psychology, technology, and a fundamental shift in how we live. To understand minimalism, we need to go back to 1919 Germany. The Bauhaus school had a radical idea. Form follows function. No decoration for decoration's sake. Every element should serve a purpose. This was revolutionary. For centuries, design had been about ornamentation. The more elaborate, the better. But the Bauhaus said, strip it all away. Let the function shine through. Architect Ludwig Mies van der Rohe gave us the phrase that would define an entire century: less is more. By the 1960s, minimalist art emerged as a reaction to the chaos of abstract expressionism. Simple geometry, monochrome palettes, clean lines. Artists were exhausted by complexity and craved clarity. Then came Dieter Rams at Braun Electronics. His designs were so clean, so perfectly functional, they looked like they came from the future. Rams created 10 principles of good design, and the last one was, good design is as little design as possible. These weren't just aesthetic choices, they were philosophical statements about what design should be. And decades later, when the technology exploded, these ideas were ready and waiting. But why does minimalism feel so good? It's not just preference, it's hardwired into our brains. Psychologists have found that cluttered environments literally raise our stress levels. A UCLA study discovered that people living in disorganized homes had higher cortisol, the stress hormone, than those in tidy spaces. Here's what happens. When your brain sees clutter, it receives constant signals that the work is never done. Every object demands a tiny bit of attention. Your mind is processing hundreds of visual elements, and that creates a low-level stress response that never stops. But in a minimal environment, your brain can relax. There's less to process, less to worry about. Clean design creates what researchers call a calming atmosphere. The same principle applies to digital design. A busy website with flashing ads, competing colours, and dense text. Your brain is working overtime just to figure out where to look. A clean interface with plenty of white space, clear typography, and only essential elements. Your brain can focus on what matters. You find what you need faster. You feel less overwhelmed. In our always connected age, attention is our most valuable resource. We're bombarded with information constantly. Minimalist design respects that. It says, I won't waste your time. I won't distract you. Here's exactly what you need. Nothing more. There's also an emotional component. Studies show that people find clean, uncluttered interfaces more aesthetically pleasing. And when something looks good, we're more tolerant of small usability issues. Beauty creates goodwill. But minimalism might have stayed a niche aesthetic if not for one thing: smartphones. When the iPhone launched in 2007, it changed everything. Suddenly, we weren't designing for big computer screens anymore. We were designing for tiny glass rectangles that fit in your pocket. On a 3.5-inch screen, you can't have elaborate graphics, multiple menus, and complex layouts. There's simply no room. Designers had to prioritise. What's essential? What can we remove? Apple led the charge. Early iOS had skeuomorphic design. Apps looked like real-world objects. The Notepad app looked like yellow paper. The Bookshelf app looked like wood shelves. Then, in 2013, iOS 7 changed everything. Apple flattened the entire interface. Gone were the shadows, textures, and realistic details. In their place, flat colours, simple icons, clean typography. Microsoft did the same in 2011 with Windows 8. They called it modern UI and explicitly cited the Bauhaus as inspiration. Colourful tiles, no shadows, pure geometry. Google followed with material design, still flat, but with subtle shadows to suggest depth. The message was clear: the future of digital design is minimal, and this philosophy didn't just stay on our screens, it spilled over into branding itself. Nowhere is the minimalist takeover more visible than in logo design. Let's look at what happened to some of the world's biggest brands. Apple in 1976. An elaborate illustration of Isaac Newton sitting under an apple tree. 1 year later, the iconic bitten apple. Initially it had rainbow stripes, but by the late 1990s even those were gone. Now it's just a simple, flat silhouette. Google started with a serif font, shadows, and even an exclamation point in the 1990s. In 2015, they unveiled a custom geometric sans serif typeface and removed all shadows, same bright colours, but infinitely simpler. MasterCard used to have the red and yellow circles with MasterCard written across them. In 2016, they simplified the design. By 2019, they dropped the word mark entirely. Now, just 2 flat circles overlapping. That's it. Airbnb went from a casual script word mark to a single abstract symbol they call the Balo, a shape that suggests an A, a heart, and a location pin all at once. Gymshark started in 2012 with a detailed, muscular shark eating a seal. By 2020, it was 3 simple geometric shapes: an arrow, a triangle, and a stripe forming an abstract shark head. Even luxury brands followed suit. Louis Vuitton's 1896 logo included ornate text and floral motifs. Over time, all that disappeared. Now it's just the interlocked L and V monogram. Do you see the pattern? Every brand is doing the same thing. Remove 3D effects and shadows, simplify shapes, and reduce detail. Drop word marks when possible. Use flat, solid colours. Make it geometric and clean. Why? Because these logos need to work everywhere. On a phone screen the size of a postage stamp. On a billboard 50 feet tall. In black and white, in full colour. As an app icon. As a social media avatar. Complex logos don't scale. Details get lost. Gradients look muddy. But a simple flat logo, it's instantly recognisable at any size, in any context. Of course, critics say all these logos are starting to look the same. That brands are losing their identity in pursuit of simplicity, and they might have a point. But it's not just logos. Minimalism took over product design too. Look at Apple's evolution under Jony Ive. Smooth surfaces, simple silhouettes, neutral colours. The iPhone has 1 button. MacBooks are seamless aluminum unibodies. Ive openly credited Dieter Rams as his inspiration, following Rams's principle. Good design is as little design as possible. Every Apple product hides complexity behind simplicity. IKEA built an empire on minimalist principles. Flat surfaces, straight lines, neutral colours, easy assembly. Their mission: create simple, well-designed, low-cost furniture accessible to everyone. This became the Scandinavian design aesthetic. Clean lines, natural materials, lots of light, everything with a purpose, not a single unnecessary element. Architecture followed. Tadao Ando, John Pawson, and others created buildings with almost no decoration. Concrete, glass, timber, the materials speak for themselves. Large windows, open floor plans, maximum light. Compare a minimalist interior to a traditional one. Minimalist. White walls, a few carefully chosen pieces of furniture. Plants for life, natural light flooding in. Traditional, patterned wallpaper, multiple furniture pieces, decorative objects, layered textures. The minimalist space feels calm, serene, easy to maintain. The traditional space feels cozy, but potentially overwhelming. Neither is wrong, but one dominates modern design. Even beyond visual design, minimalism became a philosophy. But minimalism has its critics, and they make valid points. The biggest complaint: minimalism often sacrifices functionality for aesthetics. When you hide all the buttons behind menus, when you remove labels, when you make everything flat and uniform, users get confused. Where do I click? What does this icon mean? How do I get back? Some people find minimalist spaces cold and impersonal. A perfectly white room with no decoration might look stunning in a magazine, but does it feel like home? The lesson: minimalism is powerful, but it's not the answer to everything. Good design finds the balance between simplicity and functionality, between clean aesthetics and human warmth. So why did minimalism take over? It started with a philosophical movement in early 20th century Germany. It gained momentum through mid-century modernism, and it exploded in the digital age when smartphones demanded simpler interfaces. It succeeded because it matches how our brains work. We're overwhelmed by information and choices. Minimalism offers clarity and calm in a chaotic world.